Award shows are meant to be perfect until a comedian takes the mic. In seconds, jokes turn awkward, bold, and completely out of control. From savage roasts to shocking moments, these are the moments comedians completely flipped award shows upside down. Let's start with the moment that broke the room. Jimmy Kimmel versus Matt Damon, the joke that never ended. What started as a simple late-night joke somehow made its way onto one of the biggest stages in the world, the Oscars. Jimmy Kimmel's long-running feud with Matt Damon became a recurring bit that audiences loved. But at award shows, it always carried a bit of unpredictability. Every time Kimmel hosted, people weren't just watching for the awards. They were waiting for that moment. Would he bring Damon out? Would Damon interrupt? Would it go too far? And that's exactly what made it chaotic. Because in a room designed for prestige and seriousness, Kimmel turned it into a playground. The tension wasn't real, but the reactions were. Celebrities didn't know whether to laugh, clap, or just sit there confused. It was comedy slowly breaking the structure of the Oscars, year after year. But if that felt playful, the next moment, not so much. Don Rickles roast Hollywood legends. Before modern-day comedians pushed boundaries, there was Don Rickles, the man who made a career out of insulting people directly to their faces. Now imagine putting someone like that in a room filled with Hollywood's biggest names, all dressed in elegance, expecting respect and admiration. Rickles did the exact opposite. He didn't hold back. No filters, no hesitation. In 2017, at the AFI Achievements Awards, he roasted actors, directors, and icons like it was nothing. And while people laughed, there was always that underlying tension, that feeling of, did he just say that? Because he did. That's what made Rickles dangerous on award stages. You never knew who was next, and more importantly, you never knew how far he'd go. But you would have to wait until you see this next comedian who became the ultimate chaos. Sacha Baron Cohen falls on Eminem. MTV Movie Awards, 2009. Some comedians don't just tell jokes, they become chaotic. And that's exactly what Sacha Baron Cohen did at the MTV Movie Awards in 2009. Dressed in character, he flew into the crowd and landed directly on Eminem face first, live on stage. The room froze. Eminem looked furious. Security rushed in, and for a moment, no one knew if it was a joke or something going completely wrong. That confusion, that tension, that's pure awards show chaos. And it's one of those moments that would go down in history as one of the most chaotic moments ever. And to the next comedian, Joe Coy's awkward monologue, when jokes don't land. There's nothing more uncomfortable than a joke that doesn't land, especially in a room full of celebrities. In 2024, when Joe Coy took the stage at the Golden Globes, the expectation was clear. Bring energy, bring laughs, own the room, but instead something felt off. The jokes started missing, the reactions were delayed. Some celebrities looked confused, others just stared. And in moments like that, time slows down, because every second of silence feels louder than applause. You could feel the tension through the screen. Social media lit up instantly, calling it one of the most awkward openings in recent award show history. It wasn't offensive, it wasn't shocking, it was something else entirely uncomfortable. But if awkward silence is one kind of chaos, the next moment was the exact opposite. Bill Burr at the Grammys, offending everyone in seconds. In 2012, Bill Burr walked on stage like he always does, calm, confident, and completely unapologetic. But this wasn't just a stand-up show, this was the Grammys. And within seconds, things took a turn. He made jokes about the category he was presenting. He poked at diversity conversations. And just like that, the room shifted. Some laughed, others didn't. And that's the thing about Burr. He doesn't adjust for the room has to adjust to him. But at award shows, that's risky, because these stages aren't built for raw, unfiltered comedy. They're built for safe moments, predictable applause, and controlled narratives. Burr ignored all of that, and the result? Instant division, instant reactions, instant chaos. But sometimes chaos isn't about offending people. Sometimes it's about telling the truth a little too boldly. Chris Rock calls out Hollywood. Oscars 2016. When Chris Rock stepped onto the Oscars stage in 2016, the atmosphere was already tense. There was controversy surrounding diversity in Hollywood. Conversations were happening everywhere, and instead of Chris to avoid it, he leaned straight into it. His monologue wasn't just jokes, it was commentary. Sharp, honest, and uncomfortable at times. He did cause the audience to laugh, but you could tell it wasn't just humor. It was recognition. Because when comedy starts reflecting reality too clearly, it stops being just entertainment. It becomes something bigger. And that's what made this moment chaotic in a different way. It forced a room full of powerful people to confront something they couldn't ignore. But if that was controlled tension, the next moment was pure unpredictability. Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, smiling while burning Hollywood. When Amy Poehler and Tina Fey hosted the Golden Globes in 2013, they did something dangerous. They made savage jokes sound polite. Their delivery was smooth, almost friendly, but the content, very brutal. They joked about relationships, scandals, careers. Nothing was off limits, and the audience laughed. But it wasn't just laughter. It was that kind of laughter mixed with, wow, they really went there. Because the best kind of chaos doesn't always come from shouting or shock. Sometimes it comes quietly, wrapped in a smile. And that's exactly what they did. But even their sharp humor couldn't match the intensity of someone who had absolutely nothing to lose. Ricky Gervais, the roast that made everyone uncomfortable, 2011. Ricky Gervais didn't just host the Golden Globes, he attacked it. During the 2011 annual event, he went after celebrities, movies, even the organizers. No one was safe. The jokes weren't subtle, they weren't softened, they were direct. He even went as far as calling names of some celebrities who were present at the event, and you could see it in the room. Some people laughed, others clearly didn't. It felt unpredictable because it was. At one point, it genuinely felt like the show could go off the rails at any moment, and that's what made it unforgettable. But believe it or not, that wasn't even his most chaotic moment. Ricky Gervais, I Don't Care Anymore, Golden Globes 2020. By the time 2020 came around, Ricky Gervais had one message. He didn't care anymore. And when a comedian with nothing to lose takes the stage, that's when things get dangerous. It was at the 77th Annual Golden Globes Award held at Beverly Hills, Los Angeles. Gervais called out Hollywood's hypocrisy, took shots at corporations, and even told winners not to use their speeches to make political statements. The room? Tense. Because this wasn't just roasting, it felt like exposure. And the wildest part? He did it all with a smile. That's what made it hit harder. It's not so clear if this next comedian should be taken seriously or not. Rebel Wilson's BAFTA jokes, 2016. Not every award show moment explodes into chaos. Sometimes it builds slowly, right there on stage. And that's exactly what happened when Rebel Wilson stepped up at the BAFTA Awards in 2016. At first, it felt like a normal presenting moment. The crowd was relaxed, the mood was light, until the jokes started getting bolder. Then came a line about diversity that instantly shifted the atmosphere. You could feel it. Some people laughed, others hesitated, and a few reactions said everything without a word. And that's what made it chaotic. Not because the show stopped, but because the energy in the room completely changed. In just a few seconds, a routine speech turned into one of those moments where everyone's thinking the same thing. Did she really just say that? While the audience was wondering if she actually meant what she said, this next comedian just crossed the line. Frankie Boyle at the British Comedy Awards, 2009. Some comedians don't aim to please the room, they aim to shock it. And that's exactly what Frankie Boyle did at the British Comedy Awards in 2009. While presenting an award, Boyle dropped a joke that instantly crossed the line. A few uneasy laughs slipped out, but most of the room just froze. And then, instead of pulling back, he doubled down, taking a direct shot at host Jonathan Ross, referencing recent controversy in a way that made things even more uncomfortable. At that point, it wasn't just edgy comedy anymore. It was full-blown tension. This was one of those moments where the joke doesn't just miss, it hits the room in the worst way possible. Seth MacFarlane's Oscars opening, 2013. What about comedians who internationally test the audience? And when they do, they completely split it. And that's exactly what Seth MacFarlane did at the Academy Awards in 2013. Right from the opening monologue, the jokes came fast and risky. But it was one musical number in particular that changed everything. The room went from laughter to visible discomfort. Some celebrities laughed, others looked completely unimpressed, and the reactions quickly became part of the show itself. It wasn't just comedy anymore. It was controversy playing out live on stage. A moment that proved at the Oscars, one joke can divide the entire room. But even that level of chaos couldn't prepare anyone for what came next. Chris Rock and Will Smith, the moment that broke the Oscars, 2022. In this video, this is the most chaotic moment. And not just that, it is arguably the most awkward moment ever seen on live award shows. It was during the Oscars 2022 awards. What started as a pure joke turned bitterly awkward. Chris Rock was doing what comedians do, poking fun, getting laughs, moving the show along. Then suddenly everything changed. Will Smith walked onto the stage. At first, people thought it was part of the show. Then it happened. Will Smith landed a hot slap on Chris's cheek. Was that part of the script? Unbelievable. The whole room froze. Even the audience at home was shocked. And just like that, the Oscars, an event built on control and perfection, lost all of it in one moment. What followed was even more surreal. Silence, confusion. But you have to give it to Chris Rock, who tried to recover in real time because that's what comedians do. Even in chaos, they keep going. Award shows are designed to be perfect. Every moment planned. Every reaction is expected. But comedians, they break that system. They test limits, push boundaries, and sometimes they go too far. And that's exactly why we can't look away. Because in a room full of control, they bring the one thing no one can predict: chaos. So the question is, which moment shocked you the most? And more importantly, who's going to cause the next one? And if you've enjoyed this video, kindly subscribe, share, and like. See you in the next one.